going on YouTube? Leaman Griffin here again with Scale Adventures, and we've got part 3 of our Fortis Airframes MultiRotorMania.com Tricopter build here. You can see she's coming along very nicely. I've got all the major electronics mounted, all the components wired. I've got a few LEDs still to wire, and I've got to add the bottom plate here with my cameras and whatnot. So I wanted to give you guys an overview of the setup that we're running and a little breakdown of some of the individual components and what they will add to the copter, what benefits there are of running them, the way I did it, my wiring, things like that. So let's jump in and talk first about the central unit, the power distribution board, and the Dragonfly 32 Pro flight board. The Dragonfly 32 Pro is a really nice 32-bit flight board. It's a really small chassis. I want to say it's 36 millimeters corner to corner, and I think it carries a 30 millimeter bolt pattern, center to center of the bolt holes. So really small, compact. It's going to work on everything from your mini racers all the way up to full-size quads, tris, all the way up to, I want to say, hexcopters, because it has a total of 6 motor outputs available. So you can do all the way up to a hexacopter. Of course, this is a tricopter, so that frees up some outputs on the side here. But I like it because you can get these off of MultiRotorMania's website, and you can have them custom ordered the way you want it. You can have it flashed with base flight. I think they come actually now, they used to come with base flight, but now they all come flashed with clean flight. So really nice there. If you've ever used clean flight, you know it's a really nice GUI. It just really easy to use, but extensive. You can do pretty much anything with it that you want. The board's got LED indicator lights up front here. It's got add-ons, pins for if you're using a Spectrum telemetry setup. It's got all of your I2C pins and your Bluetooth/OSD pins. You got a USB programming port, which uses a micro USB, which is pretty common. It's popularly used for Android charging devices. So if you've got an Android phone that's not a Note and uses the larger USB 3 cable, then this will work for you. But most stuff uses it, and they're really easy. And actually, MultiRotorMania sells the USB cables on their website. So, and it's also got pins here. You can bring voltage in off of your main power board or your main wiring harness for voltage monitoring. And then you can also, as we got here, you can hook up a buzzer, which I'm going to shorten the cables on this because I don't need them that long. But you can hook up a buzzer so that when you hit a low voltage warning, it'll actually alarm you. So the way I've got this wired up, I've actually got this paired up with their power distribution board, and this is their larger power distribution board. I'm not sure exact size. I want to say probably, looks like about 50 millimeter, about 2 inches. So about 50 millimeter power distribution board, and it actually has bolt holes already inside of it for you to mount another board on top of it, which is what I've got here. You can see, if I turn it, you can see they're spaced. I've got my power distribution board below here, and then above it I've got standoffs that bring my flight board on top of it. Power distribution board, I'm using this one for 12 volts, and all of my power is going to run through it. My battery leads come up to it, and then I jump off of that to power all of my ESCs. And then from there, anything else that requires 12 volts. I actually have some LEDs that are 12 volts. My headlight here, you can see that's a Cobb LED. Really super bright LED. MultiRotorMania sells them. They're about $5. And I'm going to have that. You can see I have my positive leads still disconnected. I'm actually going to wire these up to a Turnigy, makes a nice auxiliary channel receiver controlled switch for your setup. And what it does is it takes your receiver and it controls a relay that switches, I want to say it's up to 20 volts, but I'm not sure on that exactly, but it'll definitely do 12 volts. So I'm going to use that to switch the headlight on and off, so I'm not constantly doing that kind of power draw, because it is bright, and I think it pulls, it's a 3-watt LED, so it's going to pull a good bit of power, and I don't want to have that kind of power drain on all the time. So just for night flying is when I'll be using that. But anyway, I've done a real compact wiring job, and don't mind all the wires that are still hanging out. These are wires I have yet to completely wire up. They're actually for some 2812 LEDs that I'm going to be wiring, and these are the digital in, digital out. I've just got to shorten these and connect them to each other in series to make my channel for the ordering of the LEDs so that it knows how to assign the colors and commands to them. So I've also got MultiRotorMania's antenna mount for my GPS. I ended up going with this. I'm still using the Fortis Airframes antenna mount, but I'm not sure if I'm going to leave it mounted down like this or flip it back up, but I'm using this for the FPV system that I'm going to use, the FPV antenna. So this right here will be a GPS antenna, and I've got it actually, I've shortened it up a good bit so it doesn't stand up very high above the platform. There's actually a plexiglass platform above here that'll protect the flight board. But the way I've done my wiring on this, I've got all of my cables. I actually took Fortis's main frame or main chassis plates and milled a hole in them, a slot I guess you could say, and I've got all my wiring running through the slot coming up into the power distribution board. I've got all my ESCs mounted. Let me flip this over. There you go. All my ESCs you can see are mounted along the main chassis instead of out on the arms. You can see normally they would be mounted out on the arms. I've got them mounted on the main chassis, and that's going to help my center of balance. The more weight you have out on the ends, the less responsive it's going to be. So, and I say that because it becomes rotating mass. So when you, let's say you're leveled out and you go to roll right, what's going to happen is it's got to take the weight on the arm that's lifting and the weight on the arm that's lowering, and it's got to rotate that weight. So any weight you can get in the center of the frame, the better, because that's less weight that's going to rotate outside of the pivot point. So I've also got a smaller MultiRotorMania distribution board on the bottom here, and what I'm doing, I'm pulling the 5 volts off of one of these speed controllers and putting it to this power distribution board, and this is going to supply my 5 volts for LED lights and anything else that needs 5 volts. So one of the flight board actually runs off of 5 volts, but I've got a dedicated speed controller powering just the flight board. I want to make sure that my LEDs are not going to draw any current that could be dedicated to the flight board. So I've got one powering the flight board, one powering my 5 volt distribution board, and the other one is not being used. So I've got all my signal wires running up, and just the power and ground wire is not connected. As you can see on the front here, we've got the Bluetooth module mounted, and this wires into the OSD port on the OSD pins on the Dragonfly 32 that I spoke of earlier. And what this is going to allow me to do is connect to it through Bluetooth via the app that you can download, and I'll put a link in the description to the app you can download so that I can view. I'm not sure exactly what all I can do with it yet, but I know it opens up the possibilities of programming and whatnot, so you don't have to always be connected to a computer. And then again, I've got more wiring here for my LEDs, and I've ran these down. And I've done bullet connectors for ease of changing. You can see I've got bullet connectors on the wires going out to the brushless motors. And some people recommend them, some people go against them. You know, it's another soldering point, so you could have some loss of connection there if you've not done a good soldering job. I went ahead and put them on there because I can see myself going through motors and whatnot, because I'm going to try to fly this thing pretty fun. So just in case I break things or whatnot, I'd like to have an easier connection rather than having to resolder everything all the time. So it's a risk I'm just going to have to take. But I've also got solder connections in all of my power wires powering my speed controllers. But you can see that all of my wiring goes up straight through the middle of the frame and into, let me roll this around here. I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it right there. Right through there. It goes up through both frames and then ends up on the top here. And it comes up underneath. It's kind of messy right now, but you see it comes up underneath the power distribution board, and then it actually jumps to each solder point on the board. So it's going to look really clean whenever it's all done, and I've got everything tucked up out of the way, all the plates on and whatnot. But I've got it taken apart right now because I'm still in the process of wiring everything. And you can see here on the end, let's get this in frame here. I'm actually running the MultiRotorMania.com Titan, which is a convenient name considering this is a Fortis Titan tricopter. This is a 2212 980 kV motor, and it's turning a 9 by 4.5 prop. Let me get that right. Yep, 9 by 4.5 prop. So pretty common setup there. And then I've got LEDs on my landing gear. I've got them on all three landing gears. So I've got two blues in the front of the tricopter, and then I've got a red in the rear. And these will always be on. They're just 12-volt LEDs. Got them from MultiRotorMania, and they just stay on. I took them out of their plastic casing though, just to save a little bit of space and weight. And then you can see here, I've actually got wires coming out of the frame. Let me show you that. See right there, I've got wires that I pulled through the chassis or through the boom of the tricopter. And I did that just for cleanliness. As you can see, if you look at the top of my boom, there's really nothing on it. Real clean, all the way out to the motor, all the way back to the main frame. Nothing on top of the actual tricopter. And I wanted to keep it that way so that it was real clean and simple looking. So the LEDs require 4 wires for each LED. So I just went ahead and ran them through the booms. And it required a little loop here so that when you fold the booms, because this tricopter frame is foldable, so when you fold the booms, you're not going to pinch wires or anything. That's pretty much the setup right now that I've got, and I'm going to get this flying as is. And we've got an FPV system to put on this. We've got a GPS system that we're going to be putting on this. We've got this little board down here. You can see that the camera goes on, the FPV camera and the GoPro. So we're going to mount that on there. And then after we do that, we'll jump into programming this, doing the initial setup for it so that we can run it, and then setting up the GPS, setting up the receiver, and I'll show you the receiver. This is actually a Turnigy 9X8CV2. This is the receiver that we're going to be using on this tricopter as of the moment. It's a 8-channel, full range 2.4 gigahertz receiver. And I'm using this with a Turnigy 9XR. Really nice radio, pretty capable radio. I like it. It was recommended to me, and I went ahead and got one. And not only that, but check out the bling. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Nice blue colors. That's a sweet radio. So I like it so far. I've used it with my minicopter, the little racer quad, and it's a really handy radio. Everything's well positioned and nothing obnoxious unless you just don't like the blue. So there's nothing I've found about it so far that I'm like, oh, I wish they would have done this, or wish they would have changed that, put this on there, whatnot. So the only thing I can complain about is sometimes you have to push the buttons a little bit hard to get them, well, yeah, to recognize them. So you got to kind of push on them. But other than that, love the radio. It's got a FlySky module in it right now, and we're going to be changing that out and getting a few different modules to try out some different receiver setups so that we can find the best receiver module for this. I wouldn't say for this, for what I'm going to be doing. So there you go, Turnigy 9XR. Now, what we've done here with our Turnigy receiver is we've actually, if you notice, this is kind of bulky, kind of thick. It's not, I wouldn't call it heavy, but you know, what I did, this obviously will not fit in our tricopter frame. I'm trying to go with a real smooth, sleek design, and this is a little bulky. So I took it apart. You can see here, I have taken the 9X8C apart, and I've got just a board with all my pins. And what I did is I took some silicone and coated the entire underside, anything that was exposed metal, because I don't want any shorts. Went ahead and coated all that, and you can see, yeah, we'll just drop it, that'll be fine. You can see it's a lot thinner, a lot lower profile, everything about it is smaller. This will allow me to mount it pretty much wherever I want, and I like that because I'm probably gonna have to tuck it in there real nice and neat so that it's out of sight, out of mind. And it's not gonna help the fact that this isn't PPM, but we're gonna rock it for now until we get a different setup. So a little bit more wiring, but it'll be fine. It'll fly. There you have it, guys. Part 3 in the books of our Fortis Airframes MultiRotorMania.com Tricopter build. She's coming along really nice. Got a lot of work done. Still got a lot of work left to go, but it's all going to be worth it because this thing's going to fly excellent. And I can't wait to get it off the ground. So stay tuned. We got more coming. We're going to start diving into the Dragonfly. We're going to finish the LED wiring. I'm going to put power on this thing for the first time. See how cool it looks. Maybe turn off all the lights and show you guys how it illuminates at night. And we'll program it, get the FPV setup going, and that is a bug. Done. Sorry guys, sorry PETA. PETA, isn't that like a bun or a Spanish tortilla? Anyway, alright. Can't wait to get it going. Subscribe, like, share, go to our Facebook fan page, facebook.com/RCScaleAdventures. Check out our sponsors on this builds, guys. FortisAirframes.com, they make an excellent tricopter frame. They actually make a few different ones, so go to their website, check them out, FortisAirframes.com, and then also check out MultiRotorMania.com. They are our everything else sponsor on this build. They provided everything that we needed to get this tricopter up and running. They've got excellent part selection on their website. I've also done multiple orders from these guys. They've got everything you need. Anything I could think of that I ran out of or didn't have enough of, or, oh crap, I want that because that's really cool. Went to their website and bought it. Super fast shipping from California. And I live in Alabama, so it's nowhere near close to me. But super fast shipping. Be sure and mention that you came from here. If you go to their website and you buy $50 in stuff, you get free shipping if you use the promo code ScaleAdventures. All one word, ScaleAdventures. Use that promo code on MultiRotorMania.com and you will get free shipping on any order $50 or more. So, hope you guys like it so far, and I can't wait to work on this thing some more and get some more videos going for you. So, we'll see you next episode, and y'all stay tuned. Take care.